Fairy whispering explores the multisensory pathways into the other world. From listening to the messages on the wind, or contained within owls' hoots, to singing to the sea in a moonlit cove, or what to give a gnome when they come to dinner. I'm Claire Casely, a fairy whisperer. Take my hand and I'll guide you through the twilight woodland, where they are waiting to meet you. Hello everyone, welcome to the Fairy Whispering Podcast. I'm out in the woods today on my way home, and I'm enjoying doing these intros and outros to my episodes out in nature at the moment. Whilst the weather's good, I'm bringing you some nature sounds. I'm stood looking up the River Lemon, which is in Bradley Woods near my home, and I'm looking at this wonderful patch of emerald green that's shining down, reflecting down from the trees onto the river. You might be able to hear the river flowing gently past me at the moment. It's very soothing. I've seen this river go through so many changes throughout the year, from a few months ago, rushing by hurriedly, noisily, to now just being very gentle. And this wonderful green reminds me of, or leads me on very nicely to this episode. The other day I met with my good friend Jayne Pearl, and Jayne and I are soon going to be leading a solstice fairy and dragon workshop at Dartington. We met at Dartington to have a bit of a chat for the podcast, because Jayne knows a lot about dragons, and she's had dragon experiences and fairy experiences, being sensitive since a child. She's a very talented healer, shamanic practitioner. Looking forward to leading that with her. And in the morning I'm going to be leading a creative connection with the fairies and dragons using intuitive art. And in the afternoon Jayne is going to lead a more shamanically based experience for everyone that comes, that joins us. And I'll put all the details for that in the notes for this show. If you're near Devon or in Devon and you'd like to join us, or travelling down to Devon on holiday, then it'd be lovely to see you on that. There's a few spaces left. Also in this episode, Jayne talks about some of her early fairy experiences as a child and describes the fairies that she encountered. She talks about some dragon experiences and mentions the ways that dragons can help us, and also some of her plant medicine knowledge. Jayne has so much knowledge about plants. And just to let you know, I mentioned in the episode that I'm creating an oracle deck. Oh, can you hear the buzzard? So I'm creating a oracle deck connected with fairies, and part of that deck I have some dragon messages. So for my patrons I've recorded a message from one of those cards. So if you'd like to join my patron community and help support this podcast, then you can sign up via the link in the show notes, and there's lots of bonuses that are worth signing up for. At the moment I've got first 7 days free, so you can sign up and see how you feel about being part of my community. I'm sure you'll love it. And it's only £3 a month if you do decide to stay. So as we approach solstice, in this wonderful balmy heat that we have at the moment, and the energies building towards this very magical gateway in the year, another opportunity to connect with the other realms very closely. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I will come back to you at the end with some thoughts. See you on the other side. I'm in Dartington today and sat in front of a beautiful old tower that used to belong to the church that was here, with my guest Jayne Pearl, and I'll let Jayne introduce herself and say what she does. We've come to Dartington because we've come to connect with the place in readiness for a workshop that we're doing with the fairies and dragons for solstice. So hello Jayne.
Hello. Hi. Hello Claire. Hello everybody. Yes, I'm Jayne Pearl. I'm an energy healer and teacher. I'm a shamanic practitioner and soul life coach, angel whisperer, and lots of beautiful guides and different realms that I work with, and they work with me.
Jayne, you was just saying that you've got an oracle deck that you're working on.
Yes.
Do you mind sharing about that?
No, I'd love to share that, Claire. Thank you. Yes, I'm doing an oracle card deck with my lovely friend Laura Berry, who is a beautiful artist. She's a landscape, seascape and butterfly artist. Her paintings are absolutely beautiful. So we're working on an oracle card deck together. So I'm channeling the messages for the cards, and Laura obviously will be using her gorgeous paintings for each of those messages. In fact, I tune into each of her paintings and then channel the messages for that. We're about halfway through at the moment, so we should be finished, we hope, by the end of August. And so by Christmas time, we're hoping that oracle card deck will be out there. If anybody wants to look at Laura's artwork, then please do. She's absolutely amazing. She's also just recently published a book called The Art of Healing. And it's a bit about her life story as well in that, and what's actually inspired her to start painting. It's just absolutely wonderful.
Amazing.
Love it. Yeah.
Just about to introduce the dragons, and obviously there's the fairies, the sylph fairies. And Jayne was just saying how the wind would probably pick up when we started talking about dragons. And you were saying before we started recording, Jayne, a little bit about dragons and who they are. So if you could share your insights into who the dragons are from your experience.
Mm-hmm.
And excuse the wind, that's the dragons making their presence
That's
known.
just letting us know that they're here with us, basically. Yeah, okay, so my experience then with dragons goes way back actually to when I was a child, very, very small. I used to always see fairies, and I used to see dragons and all kinds of other beautiful beings there. Had to learn to close that down, as we do, because of everyone thinking that you're a bit weird because you see fairies and dragons. So all of that went, but all of the time they never really left me. They were always kind of dancing around me, and the dragons would make themselves known. But as I've developed all of the different practices that I do, with my shamanic practicing and healing, I work within the medicine wheel. And the dragons are very, very much a part of that medicine wheel, because we connect to the 4 directions, and each of those directions has its own element. And the dragons are elementals, and they are in each of those directions as different elements. So that is how I would best describe them from my point of view, definitely, and I connect with them very strongly. So just to sort of elaborate on that a little bit more, so in the medicine wheel then we begin with the east, direction of the east and the rising sun, So we connect with the fire dragons there in that direction as well. So that's all about new beginnings, all about new possibilities and all these amazing things that we can create at any one time, and they are so inspiring. If you call on the dragons to help you, to really bring stuff through, particularly on a creative side, it's absolutely amazing. So they power us up, really. They inspire us. They connect with our solar plexus chakra, and they really kind of give us the energy to keep going forward and to believe in ourselves. They give us that courage and that strength and that all of that beauty. So that's about them. And the rising sun, obviously, in the east. I love to watch that as much as I can in the mornings as that comes up. So I'm giving thanks to the sun rising, definitely giving thanks to the dragons in the east, the fire dragons, and all of the guides and helpers in that direction. So that's the east, very, very succinctly put. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I just want to kind of keep it quite simple because I'm like that. I like things to be quite simple. Yeah. So then we go to the south, and the element of the south is the earth, and that is the element of summer. Okay, so it's like the midday sun, all of that gorgeous, gorgeous energy that we get there. So in the south of the earth dragons, I mean, all of the dragons, I have to say, are protectors of the earth. But in the south in particular, you get that earth energy, so you get the earth dragons. They are absolutely incredible. So they help us with anything that we need. So the medicine that they bring to us within that direction of the south would be anything to do with our physical body. Yep. So if we need help with something, if we're out of balance, we could ask the earth dragons for some medicine for that. And they will show you which plants you could use, which tree spirits maybe you could be working with, flowers, all kinds of things with that as well. And most importantly, they link us up with our earth family. So all beings here, absolutely all, because everything is our family. So they have that sense of unity with that too. It's just absolutely beautiful. And particularly just walking that beauty way with Mother Earth. Yes. Yeah, so that's what that's about. They have so much there that they can offer us from a healing perspective in particular. Okay, so then we go to the west, direction of the west, which is that's the autumn, beautiful autumn season. So that's all about releasing everything that we don't need any longer. If you think about, the autumn, all those gorgeous colours with the leaves, I always see them as they're floating down to the earth. What they're doing is they're releasing everything they don't need. Those leaves then rest upon the earth and they fertilise the soil. So it's getting ready for what we call the rebirth in the east again. A really beautiful, special time. So it's all about the sunset in that direction as well, and it's the element of water. Strongly, strongly linked to all of our emotional things that we carry and everything that we're feeling and doing, all of that water element. And of course all of the water around the world, so Mother Ocean and all of the rivers, the streams, everything to do with that as well. Powerful, powerful place. They all are, but they all have their own kind of energy that they bring in to really help us to work with what it is that we need. So we have the water dragons in the west, which are just beautiful.
Yes.
Anyone grieving would call on Water Dragon to help them to work through that loss. Obviously with grief, as we know, it's not a case of getting over anything, because you don't. You don't, but you learn to live with it in a different way. And the water element and the Water Dragons can help people to really do that.
Is it striking lots of chords with thinking about when, a few years ago when we went through that time, I won't say too much about, and a lot of us had to deal with big changes, and grief came up for me. It's like losing the norms, the freedom, so much, relationships. And it was, interestingly enough, it was at that time that a guide came forward really powerfully for me, just around 2019, a fairy guide, and one of the messages she had for me was that to work with the waters of the world. Now what you're saying makes sense now, because I thought, maybe that means, obviously it means, look after the earth's water, but then maybe there's a message in that for dealing with my emotions and looking after emotional self.
That's right.
well.
And also, Claire, you being a channel to help other people with their emotional stuff as well. Yeah, with your artwork. Your artwork on its own does that, doesn't it? Because it's so beautiful and it connects so deeply to emotion. So yeah, I feel definitely hugely so that you're working with the element of water with that emotional side. Yeah,
so interesting. Just had to mention
that. No,
that's
good. I mean, that's good. I mean, I think that's really good, because that's a really great point, because yes, a lot of us did go through so much stuff with that, and that huge sense of loss of freedom as well, wasn't there, apart from anything else, because we were supposed to be confined into our homes and you know, only go out for a sort of set amount of time and all of that kind of stuff, and all of that fear, that huge fear that was there all the time as well. That's all about that. That's all about the water, the emotions, that kind of sense of really fearing everything, being fearful of other people, being fearful of other beings, even dogs. You know, some people were really frightened of dogs because they thought that they would catch something from them. You know, it's just anyway, like you say, let's not drag it down too much to that level, but I think that's a really good observation. I love that. So just the north then, in the direction of the north. So then we have the air, and they might whip up now as they go in there. Direction of the air in the north, and the season of winter. So that's all about being in our inner sanctum, you know, in our heart cave, if you like. So we do all of our inner work in the winter. We go slow, well, ideally we do. We take time to really listen to what our guides are saying to us, to what the air dragons are saying to us, because they speak to us with the air dragon. They speak to us through our minds, through our brow chakra, through our ears and our throat, anywhere where we're communicating. They bring all of that directly into us. Here we go. Thank you for being here with us today. But yes, just that kind of beautiful ancestral wisdom as well that comes in from the north. So my experience of that is other people on the medicine wheel, they may well have their ancestors in other places, and sometimes they can be in, you know, a couple of different places. Mine particularly associate with the north and that element of air, so I love that direction too for that, because that wisdom is just incredible. And you can go back to, you know, many lives before this one, and I mean many, and kind of work with anything there that needs to be healed. You can go back, you can do some healing work. So when you do that, what you're doing is, if anything is caught in your kind of family line, you can clear it with the ancestors. You go back to the ancestor that's holding that, which frees them, which is amazing. It frees you, and it frees your family line as well. You know, we always talk about 7 generations forward. And it clears that, which is just fantastic. I mean, what a way to heal.
That's fabulous. And sat in front of, I think it's called St Mary's Church Tower, isn't it?
Yes, that's right, St Mary's Church Tower, yes.
So it was Dartington, I have recorded here before, and it's got such an ancient sense of ancient presence, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
And the gardens themselves, they're about 1,000 years old, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Who knows what was here before?
Some of these trees are much older than that as well. Particularly the ones near the little chapel. Just absolutely gorgeous. So beautiful. There's a yew tree there. Have you seen it?
The one the other side here, yes.
Absolutely huge yew tree. I mean, the energy from that tree and the tree spirit there is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Amazing place.
So that's how it all links in, really. And each of the dragons that are in there, it's not just one dragon, you know, there are lots of them, many of them. They all come in with different aspects and different things that they can help us with.
Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that?
I don't think so. No, I mean, only to say that they are here as helping spirits, the dragons. They're not anything to be fearful of. They're not, yes, they can be, as we were talking a bit earlier, they're very joyful, they're very playful, their energy is wonderful, but they can also be very serious. Because if you're going to them for something that you need to let go of, that is really affecting you emotionally or physically or something like that, then obviously they need to be a bit more serious with that.
Yes.
Yeah, but if it's something that you just want wisdom for or guidance for, to kind of like take your artwork further, that kind of thing, they will come in and they will just be so playful, and they encourage that playful energy within us so that we can then express that.
Yes. Yeah, that's my experience of them. That's nothing to be feared. The dragons that I've connected with locally, there's a lot of lovely hills that I call dragon hills.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
That I believe have dragon energy or I call them sleeping dragons. I've come across dragons that look after areas of woodland, and so there's loads of them, aren't there?
Yeah,
They're just everywhere.
They are literally everywhere. Everywhere we go, they are there. And also, just another point, just quickly, is to just remember. See, the trouble is when I get on a panel, such a guy, I'm passionate about.
Carry on. This is great.
Just one thing I wanted to mention also is that in the UK, dragons used to be so honoured and revered by the Druids and the Celts. They did, absolutely, hugely so. If they're listening to this, if they're interested, maybe do a little Google search on that or something. There'll be so much stuff that comes in from that. It's incredible. Yeah, so they were always revered and honoured. Unfortunately, as with a lot of these things, a lot of that was closed down. When you think about the witch hunts and all of that kind of thing, all of that was closed down in that time. And in the witch trials, there's lots of documents there, lots of things that are documented about dragons and fairies in the witch trials as well. Yeah, so it kind of goes so far back. In fact, dragons were here way before anything really. Yeah, they're part of the medicine wheel, and that was here way before anything.
Can you recommend any sources for people? Because I'd be interested in looking up, because I've not read those documents, the witch trials, and searching for those mentions.
Yeah. I mean, I think generally, I can't speak now, Claire. I've got tongue tied, but yes, I think probably a good thing to do. As I said, you can either Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever it is that you use. Yeah. Just put it out there. Yeah. So you're looking for the witch trials and dragons and fairies. Just put that in, and honestly the stuff that comes back is amazing. Now, the reason I don't normally recommend a particular book or a particular website is because everybody is so different. Everybody connects to things so differently in their own individual way, which after all we should be, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to work through all of that stuff on our path. But when people look at that and they look it up, things will just literally leap off the screen at them. And I think, oh God, yes, I like the look of that. Let's have a look at that. Let's see what that is, because it's resonating with them.
That's so true. And I've mentioned this before, but I tend to do that if I have a dream or if I have a message coming through in meditation or anything coming from the other world. I Google it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what comes up. I mean, it's like, and sometimes you can think, oh, right, so there is a name like that, and it means so and so, so that's a message for me.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. I mean, things like Google, we're in this age now, aren't we, where it is literally everything, but it can be so helpful as well, particularly if people are fairly new to all of this stuff, and they get these kind of messages coming through and they think, oh, what on earth does that mean, or where's that come from? But as you say, if they do a search, then that can kind of validate their experience. Yes.
Yeah, it is validating, and in this age of AI, which
goodness me, well, don't get me started on that, Claire.
the positive sides of it are this ability to access knowledge and wisdom, a lot of knowledge and wisdom that we wouldn't be able to access before, there's also lots of stuff, and I know this from from my research. I'm passionate about research and books, and there are lots of books and there's lots of wisdom that isn't online, that you have to go back to the original source. And I know from my own experience of researching, like the hairy hands story that I did for that my great grandfather was involved in, that's the family story anyway, that what you read online isn't necessarily the true version, because people haven't bothered to go back to the original sources.
That's right, yeah, that is always a concern as well. Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's always best to do your own research with regards to looking up facts about things.
As much as you can, absolutely, yeah, if you want to go deeper into stuff. And you know, a lot of people also, of course, the direct guidance that we get from source is absolutely amazing as well, but it's not always that clear. For a lot of people, it can be very kind of abstract. What's that? And I get a lot of abstract stuff coming in as well from time to time. But yeah, because it does encourage you then to kind of just find out what's going on, doesn't it? Helps you to do that.
And sometimes you can be like we were, just talking to someone, and they'll say, like you just said, about the waters in the west. And I'm like, okay, I know what that message meant.
Yeah, that's usually how it comes through, isn't it? It's just by talking to people. You know, the thing with the AI, again, the dragon energy and the fairy energy, obviously, are a wonderful antidote to all of that stuff as well. You know, and this is the time. It's absolutely the time right now to connect with the dragons, and of course the fairies, always has been. But you know, right now we need them. We really do. Mother Earth needs them. You know, we're going through so much stuff now, and we need this connection.
We do, and we're also, it feels like time's speeding up, isn't it?
Definitely.
I know that a lot of that is planetary, because we've had Uranus influencing us. And, you know, it's been like, I feel like I've just been on full speed. You know, people have said, well, this isn't going to happen till the autumn, and I'm like, well, no problem, because the way that time's going
gives you a bit of time to breathe, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm with you on that one, definitely.
I wanted to go back before we move on to ask if you could share any of your childhood experiences with dragons or fairies or both.
Yes, I mean, I'm more than happy to do that. We used to have, actually, when I was very small, we used to have quite a lovely big garden, and at the bottom of the garden there were there was a lime tree down there and various other things as well. I didn't know it was a lime tree then, because I was too little to know what that was, but there were always fairies there. Always. It was just beautiful, and I used to go down there and I would just lose myself in that space for quite a long time. I'd quite often try and drag my brother down there to see the fairies, but he didn't believe in them, so they would just not be there for him. They would just scarper if I was trying to pull him down there, so I stopped doing that. I completely stopped doing that. But yeah, so I used to meet them there, but also there was a lovely woodland not far from where we were, from our house as well, and I used to go and escape in there as well. I used to love it, because I used to feel so at home. I was always different as a child. I was treated differently in my family as well, because of the things that I used to say that was coming from elsewhere, and I think it just used to freak them out, you know. My family, my dad particularly was Catholic, so he had very strong views on, you know, don't talk such nonsense kind of thing, and you've got to stop talking like that or people just think you're mad. That kind of thing. So that was all kind of shut down at home. So I used to go out there and just be with them and just sit with them, and it was just absolutely lovely. And then the dragons would come in from time to time. So if I was I noticed with them that they used to come in if I was particularly upset. You know, if I was feeling really upset about something, then they would come in and just sort of reassure me and be really calming and just say it was absolutely fine. And I would always feel a lot stronger after that and able to cope with what was happening, because school was horrendous as well. I went to a convent school.
Oh, gosh.
And I just wasn't into that. I just wasn't, even from 5, I was not into that at all. Didn't like it, and I just didn't want to be there. I used to connect all the time, but I had to learn very quickly to kind of shut a lot of that down, because I couldn't talk about these things with other children, and I most certainly couldn't talk about it with my teachers. No way. So it was quite a lonely time, really, and they were my kind of mainstay, I think, when I was growing up.
Yeah, very similar. This is about your experience, but I see similarities with myself and other people I've spoken to about having those experiences as a child, and varying degrees of understanding or no understanding from parents and family. And but also, I didn't see fairies as a child. I always felt there was a presence in nature. I felt it. And that seemed more real to me than... I went to a Church of England school. My parents weren't particularly religious, but it was Church of England, and we went to church for all of the various festivals. And I loved it. I thought, no, nature feels more like a church to me.
Yeah.
A space where I can be myself and in touch with reality, what is real, rather than this building that just feels so cold and...
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know, just not in tune with what I felt the world was really about.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
No, I completely get that. I really do. Yeah. So they're wonderful, and if anyone listening to this podcast, if you've got children, I'm sure that you would be encouraging them anyway, because you wouldn't be listening to this podcast in the first place if you weren't getting on that kind of path or starting on it. Just encouraging them to really, be themselves, and if they're talking about fairies or spirits of any other kind, take it seriously and really talk to them about it, and let them talk to you about it, because they really need that validation.
They do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people will be interested and thinking that I need to ask this question. Because people are interested in these things that listen to my podcast, and I am as well. How did the fairies appear to you? Because people see them in different ways or experience them in different ways. What do you remember of how they looked like?
Okay, when I first saw them, they used to be like very small people. They didn't have wings, interestingly. They didn't have wings, which was, quite interesting, which is why I didn't even realise initially that they were fairies. I thought they were just tiny little people. Just thought, okay. But they were very, obviously when I say little people, they didn't really look like people as such, I suppose. To a child, yes, I suppose they would have done, because there was something very special about their energy. It was a kind of very soft, really soft, loving energy with them. So they used to be like that. And then one day when I was sitting with them and just sort of watching them, because they used to fascinate me. I just used to literally sit and watch them for hours sometimes. I just used to lose the day sometimes just being there. And then one day when I was there with them, suddenly, and it didn't scare me, because I know they wouldn't scare me anyway, there was this really big fairy with wings this time, and I thought initially it might be an angel, but it wasn't. It was definitely a fairy, and she was absolutely huge. I was quite small, because I was only probably 5 years old. I wasn't very old when this happened. When I first used to see the little people, as I call them, like that size, I would have been probably three. I can remember it going back to 3 years old. I can't remember beyond that. But when I was 5 years old, I remember this fairy, and I know I was 5 years old because the day before that had been my birthday. And that's why I remember it. And she came in absolutely beautiful, and she must have been, well, I was quite small, but I would say she's got to be 6 foot tall.
Wow.
Got to have been that tall. Absolutely, really tall, beautiful wings, incredible, absolutely incredible, loving, and she told me that she was my guide, and she's been with me ever since.
Oh,
yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and she's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
And does she help you with specific things, or can you just call on her and she'll...
Yeah, I tend to call on her if I'm walking in nature. Whenever I'm walking in nature, she's always with me. I'd always ask her to be with me. And she quite often helps me find lovely things as well. You know, I don't ask for that, but she will quite often find something wonderful for me. So it's just sort of right on the ground in front of me, so I can't ignore it, and I'll sort of pick it up and look at it and ask for permission to take it home, as I always do, always hoping deep down that they're going to say yes.
Yeah.
They don't always, it depends what it is.
No.
But yeah, so she helps with that. And sometimes if I'm looking for something particularly, because I make flower essences as well, and all kinds of things really. If I'm looking for something specific for that, she'll help me find it. So that's really good as well. And when she helps me find that, then we then sit and commune with the flower spirit first of all, and just ask permission if I can use that for my essence. I don't tend to, if I can avoid it, I don't pick the flowers. I will do that in situ, which is another reason why I get lost in nature, because I'm out there for hours. It's fun to work with these flowers that are just sort of in, you know, very gently in the water. But yeah, so she helps me with that, hugely so.
We should call in, because I've got my fairy guide, and just call our guides in to help us, because we're at Dartington. We're going to find a special place for our workshop. So we've decided to start our chat of the podcast here, but in a moment we're going to walk to some woodlands and explore those. So it'd be interesting to see what we find on the way, and if your guide draws us to something. I'm sure they're with us anyway at the moment.
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
No. And we were going to, it'd be nice, we'll go past Alla Park, won't we?
It depends where we're going. If we're going to Deer Park, we won't go past Alla Park, because it's the other direction. If you want to go down to Deer Park, it's that way. I don't know if you want to carry on down here and just see what the woods are like down there.
Shall we do that?
Yeah, or we could go past Alla Park. You've got the lime trees there, which are incredible. The fairies love them. Dragons love blossom. The linden blossoms and the limes. Dragons.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. I did some workshops under there. Quite a long time ago. You know, when I used to do them at Alla Park. Yes. We sat outside under the lime trees, and people that went, some of them have never had a fairy encounter before, and when I was leading this guided journey for them under the lime trees, they could feel little hands touching them.
Really?
It was incredible. There was lots of emotion. Some people were crying because it was so amazing. Touching their hands, touching their feet. Yeah, no, we could do that.
Yeah.
Let's go and have a look at the lime trees.
Okay,
I haven't been there for a while, so it'd be nice to say hello.
Okay. Jayne and I are stood by Alla Park, which used to be a boarding school. And I was walking by, I get a real strong feeling about this place being haunted. And Jayne used to be based here, didn't you?
Yeah.
Tell me what it was again.
It was the Alla Park project. It was actually something that was formed by David Matthews, who is a Totnes astrologer. He's very well known in the area. It was a vision of his, actually, to try and get Alla Park back into a fully restored building, so that it could be used for the community, for learning and all that, alternative learning and all of that. But didn't quite get that far, unfortunately. But we had a lovely time here for a couple of years. So we had a few rooms at the front there, where I used to do all sorts of workshops, and David used to do a lot of his astrology workshops and all of that kind of thing. Yeah, it's just wonderful. We had lots of people coming in doing different things. Yeah. But as part of that, we used to do torchlight tours of Alla Park, because it's disused. Okay, it's a shame, because it's such a beautiful building. Everything is boarded up on the inside, and there's not electricity in most of the building. So we used to do these tours. We didn't charge for them. It was just literally to show people what was in there. And we used to have security guards come with us. That's the only way we could do it. And they used to take us round to different parts of it. So it's obviously very spooky, because it's really dark, and you're going into all these little corridors and windy rooms, and we went downstairs into the basement where the kitchen used to be originally for the boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
And as I went down there, I could feel this presence long before we'd got down the bottom of the stairs. And I'm thinking, do I really want to go down there? And I thought, yeah, I do. So I went down with everybody. In the kitchen area, there's a kind of like an area off to the left side, which I think must have been a pantry or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided I'd go and have a look in there. So as I walked in there, I was met by this presence of this school matron.
Ooh.
Standing there looking very, very cross and very stern, because how dare these people come into her space. And she was very, very clear. So she had like a long like brown dress with an apron over the top of it, and very stern looking. So that was one spirit that I encountered. And I haven't encountered the child one, but they tell me that there's a boy spirit here as well, that I haven't met him, but a lot of people have. And there are various others as well.
It really feels like there's someone looking out the windows.
Yes, it does. I know, exactly. I always used to get that. I still get that. You feel it, don't you, so strongly. Yeah.
I feel it in my whole body is like pins and needles.
It's an incredible place, because although it's like, dilapidated on the outside and it looks like it's crumbling, inside you've got these most gorgeous Art Deco bathrooms. And they are completely perfect. It's like a time capsule.
Yeah.
So you've got the great big baths, great big sinks, beautiful tiles. You can only see it with torchlight, but it's absolutely incredible. Just for that reason alone, it should be preserved properly.
Yes.
Not allowed to just crumble away. And then what's going to happen? I don't know. It's just such a shame. But yeah, lots and lots of spirits in here. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah,
right.
When we used to do the workshops, and I did some of my angel workshops and nature workshops in those rooms, sometimes things would be moving around, and I know it wasn't me. I know I hadn't put it there, but it had moved to a different place. So all of that used to go on.
Yeah.
What are you feeling, Claire? I know you're feeling presence, but what are you feeling?
I just feel this whole building has got this really... It feels a bit foreboding.
Yes.
Presence.
Yeah, on some level, it does. That's the housekeeper, matron type person in the basement. She's foreboding. There's also another one that feels really bad. Right up in the eaves, which used to be the caretaker's apartment. Right up the top there. That's not a pleasant place to go.
No.
It really isn't. But they're guardians.
Yeah,
That's all they are. They're guardians of this place.
They are definitely looking after this place. I've had a similar feeling when I'm around certain places. There's Poltamore House. Certain parts of that have that kind of very dark kind of feeling to it.
Yeah.
Being protected, and I went to the Isles of Scilly a few years ago, and on Tresco there's a museum called Valhalla, and it's all parts of shipwrecks, ships that have gone down around the Isles of Scilly, and there's like figureheads there. I couldn't get close to any of them. It was like this, I'm feeling it now in my hands, this force field of energy, and whether that's from the accent people that perished, or just this kind of keep away kind of energy. I'm sure if I was inside it wouldn't feel so much like that, but like you say, it's like something is protecting this building.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, they're definitely guardian spirits in here. Without doubt. Yeah. Yes, it's a lovely place, and look at the building itself. Look, what used to be the tennis court here.
And
they used to have a beautiful swimming pool down there, an outdoor pool. It's just still there, but they don't use it.
Yeah.
That's interesting, because this used to be all fenced off, when we were working up here, but they've taken all that away, so that's good.
And
that's interesting.
Here's the beautiful lime trees.
Yes, they're the lime trees, absolutely.
And I remember when I first connected with you back in, it would have been about 2017.
Yeah.
And I did the flower essences and fairies workshop you
That's
did.
right, yes, yeah.
Which was amazing, and that's when it was so powerful, because that's when I first connected with my guide, because I went home and I painted this guide that I'd seen.
Yeah, yeah.
But she was also Ellen of the Ways. So my guide that I have now, she doesn't look like Ellen of the Ways, but I've encountered Ellen of the Ways here, and the way she came through to me that day was as Ellen of the Ways when I went home, because I drew this female figure with deer horns.
Right.
I've encountered her, that aspect here before, and feel it very strongly actually. Yeah, especially coming from
that
direction.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's lots of other gorgeous trees over there as well that we could even sit under if we wanted to. But it would be great if we could to do the morning here under these trees. Should we walk up and have a look?
Oh, yes, this is amazing. Oh, it's pretty lovely. It's so quiet, isn't it? Standing underneath one of the big lime trees. What do you feel here, Jayne?
I just feel that an absolutely beautiful energy, that gorgeous light energy of the fairies, because they are here in such numbers, and dragons also, because the dragons love these trees. They absolutely love them. Yeah.
Why do you think fairies and dragons are like lime trees in particular?
I think it's something to do with the linden blossom. I think it's to do with that, because they're particularly strong. Even though we haven't got blossom now, because it's not that time of the year, but they are so connected to that. And I'm sure it's a lot to do with the blossom as well. But, you know, looking at this trunk here, look how amazing that is. When you place your hands on there, you can absolutely just instantly feel that energy. Because, I mean, lime in itself, you know, this kind of lime, is, again, incredibly healing. It's an amazing medicine for so many things. It's anti-inflammatory to start with, so that's fantastic. And you don't just have to have the blossoms for that. You can use the leaves, you can eat the leaves, actually. Really amazing. So very anti-inflammatory in the body, so it kind of reduces all of that, you know, kind of stuff that's going on within us, all of that kind of inflamed tissues and all of that we're within our body sometimes.
Yes.
It does that. It also, this lime tree helps to open up our senses so that we can easily connect to the fairies and the dragons and lots of other spirits as well here, you know, like the spirit of this tree.
Yes.
Yeah. So it opens us up in that way. So it opens up our third eye centre as well.
I feel that here.
But lime is amazing. You know, if you've got something like, let me give an example, like a digestive disorder, and it's causing you problems. If you drink lime leaf tea or lime blossom tea when it's out, the blossom, or you can, as I say, you can just chew on these leaves, and they are really, really amazing. So if you've got like mouth ulcers or sores in your mouth, they're great for that.
Oh,
if you make a tea with the leaves and let it steep, I mean, I tend to boil mine on, you know, in a saucepan or something for about 10 minutes to make sure that it's properly infused.
Right.
I'll then leave that to get cool, and then I'll drink that tea. So if you've got any kind of stomach upset, digestive issues, like chronic digestive issues, really, really good for that, because it's so cleansing.
Oh, might take some. And the lovely thing is as well that the leaves are heart-shaped.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I love about it. Yeah.
It's presence.
Yeah, so, you know, give it a go by all means. I mean, obviously, as always, we have to put the proviso in that people, if they, you know, feel that they might be allergic to lime leaves or anything, then obviously don't ingest it. By all means, you can connect to the tree, though, to the tree leaves and all of that. Yeah. But again, very powerful medicine from these trees, and that's why the fairies are here, because they love it. they absolutely love it, and they are here in such vast numbers that you just have to look up there, don't you? Really?
I feel like they're just all looking down.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm just saying.
Flash of little figures looking down.
Yes. Very, very special. Wonderful, isn't it?
Hello. So fairies, we're going to be here in a few. Well, you know that already, but
for the solstice.
Yeah.
Well, of course, they'll be here in even big numbers then, because they're going to come and celebrate with us.
Please, please. Sunshine.
Yeah.
Sunshine.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're going to get rain, let's have the rainy bits before we do this, and we'll be fine, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Jayne and I are stood in the little garden behind Ella Park, and there's loads of oxeye daisies growing near the steps, and I feel a special connection with oxeye daisies, and I know Jayne's got lots of flower knowledge about them. I feel such a connection with them to the point where I grow them in my garden now, and that's to do with a few years ago, 2016, I stayed in a cottage that had oxeye daisies in the garden, and I was meditating in the morning whilst I was staying there. It was a B&B, and I had an image of this fairy guardian come through, and he was like a typical pixie, and he was the guardian of the garden. He was also showing himself as he was kind of half hedgehog, half pixie. So yeah, because there's folklore about pixies being able to transform into hedgehogs, so he was showing me himself in that way, and I'm sure it's because there was just, the house was, it was a wild garden, it wasn't managed, and it was full of flowers and loads of these oxeye daisies. And then I was walking down to breakfast that morning, and I saw a little gold orb go past me, and I took that as confirmation that what I'd seen in meditation, this being, was, you know, it was like confirmation really, because sometimes we doubt ourselves, don't we, what we're receiving. So it was like, yeah, I am here.
Yeah, lovely. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'd love to hear about oxeye daisies.
Yeah, okay, well I can tell you a bit about them, definitely. So they connect with our eyes, so they're really good for that to start with. So they're really good medicine for anything going on with the eyes. You can make an eye wash with those.
That sounds amazing.
If you think about the oxeye daisy, they open their eyes, don't they?
Yes.
In the morning, in the sunlight, they open their eyes, and as it starts to get dark, they close their eyes, just like we do.
Yeah.
So they're totally connected with us in that way. That you can eat them as well, obviously with permission. They're fantastic to eat. You can put them into salads and all that sort of stuff. You can make tea with them. They're really high in all kinds of nutrients as well, so they're really, really good for you. They're beautiful, as are, of course, are the little ones, the little tiny ones down here. They are so strong, these little tiny daisies. You know, they go right back to the war, the First World War. They used to use them as poultice for wounds and things like that, because they're incredible for wound healing. They are so strong. If you think about these daisies, like they get trampled on, and yet they come straight up again. They bounce back up, they get mown down and they bounce back up. They're so resilient and strong, and that's what they bring to us, that strength and that resilience.
I love them, I've always loved them.
Yeah,
these
they are
flowers.
gorgeous, they are so gorgeous.
They've got they've just got a very light, and I don't know, it's quite a moving energy. I always feel very moved by them. I'm sitting with them.
Yeah, so do I. Well, they're childlike, aren't they? I think that's what it is. They take us whirring back into our childhood when we used to make daisy chains and all those kind of things. They have such a strong connection with that playful, joyful, childlike energy.
Definitely.
Those butterflies. Those two butterflies. Aren't they gorgeous, doing their dance?
Dancing.
Yeah. Such a special day. Yeah, is there anything else you want to know about Daisy?
No, I mean, it's just, that's lovely to know. I mean, I know that I always feel fairy presence with roses, daisies. I think it's just because I feel connected to those flowers, maybe.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And maybe that's why I'm more sensitive to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's always the ones that you connect with, as with everything. It's absolutely the way, isn't it? That is the golden rule. If you have a connection to it, then it's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right for you. Yeah, for whatever it is you need, whatever medicine they have, if you're connected to them, they're right for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, which is wonderful. So, a little while ago, Claire and I were talking about the possibility of doing some more workshops online.
Yeah.
On Zoom, which we think would be wonderful, because we could, we don't have to be so weather dependent then, so it doesn't have to be just for the summer.
Yeah.
And on some of those, on the Zoom ones, I can show you how to make flower essences and herbal medicines and all that kind of thing. I can bring that into that mix as well, which would just be lovely.
It'd be amazing, and like you say, it's the sort of thing that would be really lovely for the dark winter days, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Bring some happiness and light to people. So we'll talk about that a bit
sunshine
more.
In the winter. That would be lovely. Yeah, we will definitely. Yeah.
So
get your oracle cards.
Yes. Oh yeah. I was just going to mention I have got some oracle cards that I'm working on. I've actually created them, written about them. They're ready to go, and I'm just deciding how I'm going to get them printed. But another friend the other day suggested that I create them as virtual online cards so that people can just access them online without me having to print them out. So I might do both. So I'm hoping to get those ready in the next few months, definitely for 2024 anyway, unless I can get them out this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we go and have a drink?
Yes.
A little sit down and have a coffee. Thank you, Jayne, for being on the Fairy Whispering podcast. I'm going to leap on my bus now.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Claire, for having me on the podcast. Absolutely loved it. It's been such a magical time with you today.
Yeah.
Completely love it. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the end of the episode. I'm still here by the river, listening to the river trickle by. I hope some of the energy of this river comes through to you. Please let me know what you thought about the episode. There is so much that Jayne shared here. I loved hearing about her fairy experiences and how she experienced the fairies as small people. I've heard and read about that in lots of accounts as well. And it was wonderful sharing that space with her under the linden tree and having a glimpse of these little beings looking down at us curiously from the branches of the tree. When we all come together and share these experiences, we create a field of possibilities and a magical space for wonderful things to blossom and grow in our lives. We are surrounded by spiritual helpers. All of them are there as a resource for us to connect with if we wish to do so. And part of my work is to help people to connect with the fairy realm, to connect with the other side through this podcast, through my art. On my Etsy shop, I offer fairy guide readings. So if you'd like to sign up for one of those, I will create a portrait of your fairy guide for you and channel a message from your fairy guide. I've put links in the notes for this show, for my Etsy shop, and everything else that I've mentioned in this episode. Lovely bird song here. I look forward to seeing you all next time And until then, remember to keep your heart open and to be the change. Bye for now.